And they're saying their skill is worth $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000 for a few minutes of an injection. It's given by a small cadre.
Well, wouldn't you tend to agree with them if he did get a natural speaking voice? But why is it that patient after patient has been in the same chair that you're in, have reported almost exactly the same thing that you have, namely that they lost their voice completely after getting the Botox shot, and when they got it back...
Or they have a roller coaster.
Yeah, when they got it back a month later, they said there was some window in which they thought that they were getting some kind of a voice back, but compared... Do you follow this? That we induce you to have no voice at all, then you get some resemblance or modicum of a voice back, and the patient's experience is, oh my God, thank God, I'm getting something back. And then they report to him, Dr. Cooper, well, I think the Botox shot helped on some level.
Well,
you feel like you have no choice because of the fact that you're told you can have a little relief or you can continue to live as you're living. Which do you choose?
For me,
they don't give you any choice. They don't give you real choice.
No, that was his choice.
For me, I chose nothing because I thought for sure down the road it would cause something worse than spasmodic dysphonia.
Nobody knows what the outcome will be. Mitchell F. Brin in 1991 at an Allergan-sponsored meeting in Irvine, California, said at 3 p.m. in the afternoon in March of that year that he wants to withdraw Botox at the earliest possible time, fearing the long-term downside effects of Botox on the body. I think that's a real concern. It's like asbestos, it's like prefrontal lobotomies, and it's
estrogen.
But Brin told you that or his spokesperson told you that statement that he made back then was dated.
Yeah, that was about a year and a half ago, dated. Well, he's now a vice president of development for Allergan, the maker of Botox. This is your... I do want to add one thing, folks. I know it may be negative to hear from me, but the cadre that gives the Botox shots, I say it's a full employment act and a lifetime annuity. I don't have friends who give Botox shots, apparently. This is your... That's the voice that you can use when you first came in using this one.
When I'm on the phone, it seems like...
If you feel that it's poor quality, that's the voice.
Okay, when I'm on the phone,
it skips, it breaks, it's not there.
When I talk, my voice goes...
And this is the voice I can get immediately, which tells me that it can't be a dystonia. If you have amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, folks, Lou Gehrig's disease, you are not going to be intellectually changed no matter what I tell you, and no matter what anybody tells you, it's hopeless. So I know that SD, spasmodic dysphonia,
Tim should know this about
is not incurable.
Tim should know this about one of your patients who's been in the show. She actually she was injected by a very competent, respected otolaryngologist out of the University of Michigan. And she left there. She didn't get any relief. I believe she took 2 Botox injections.
And she had bowed vocal cords after.
She had virtually no voice at all.
She had no voice.
So she left there, and she kind of went on her own search, as you guys did, went and found Dr. Cooper, and then recovered her voice. In fact, was cured of SD.
For 6 years now.
She's been without symptoms for 6 years. I spoke with her directly. She has a beautiful sounding voice. But she returned back to her otolaryngologist at the University of Michigan. She presented back to him with a clear and natural speaking voice and said, Dr. I'm going to mention his name because we're not Dr. Norman Hokegian. And Dr. Hokegian listened to her voice and said, well, I'd like to give you another Botox injection. And she was baffled by that. I mean, and I spoke with Dr. Hokegian directly about that. He says he had no recollection of that particular patient. But then, according to the patient, said that he was going to address the neurological issue related to her spasmodic dysphonia, even though when she presented back to him, she did not have SD. So that's what you're dealing with here, is a medical paradigm. It really is a paradigm.
Yes, it is.
Where they really can't see any other frame of reference other than the tools, the techniques, the methods that they use within the medical field.
They cannot accept cures of spasmodic dysphonia. I'm the only doctor in the world doing it. Formerly on the staff and faculty of the Head and Neck Division, UCLA Medical Center, for 8 years, running the voice and speech clinic, breaking open all voice problems that you can imagine. This is
Dr. Cooper,
yeah.
they could explain Tim's improvement and say it was the Botox that caused the improvement. How would they explain my improvement? I've had no intervention.
No, they can't explain Tim's.
They would take the credit, perhaps.
Yeah, they have tried in another case, but the patient said it had nothing to do with the Botox. The Botox paralyzes the vocal cords.
No, they say that Tim's problem just says spontaneous recovery, or that he has a psychogenic issue that was undiagnosed, and he deals with a psychogenic. That's why I asked you if he dealt with really deep-seated problems.
What changed your voice, Tim?
Right. Well, I haven't had Botox shot. It's been a year. Okay, and when I came to Dr. Cooper, I was just as bad as I've ever been. So.
But to answer Nancy, just her, what they would say about, what would they say about you? They would say that you were misdiagnosed. That's what they'll say. You never had
That's
SD.
That's a repetitive pattern.
It's a tautology.
It's
a circular argument.
Yeah, but I document the cures on my website. 15 cases at UCLA Medical Center Head and Neck Division from two chairmen, Paul Ward, chairman before Gerald Burke, both had SD cases. And additional cases, 15 in all, I have helped to a cure of spasmodic dysphonia diagnosed by the medical staff or faculty as SD, and I have worked with those patients and helped them to a cure of SD, following them up for years and years, up to 30 years. So when they say that it's not documented SD, that's not true. In fact, it's a bad rap. But the problem is that the medical centers want to continue doing Botox. It's a very lucrative field. If you can make $1,000, $2,000, and $3,000 a Botox shot, it's a full employment act, and it's a lifetime annuity. I have nothing against the medics making a lifetime annuity and full employment act. I do have it against them for not giving you choice of treatment. If you want Botox, that's fine. But let's take a listen to Tim. I got that in the first session with you in a few minutes.
Separate ear, nose, and throat doctors told me I had. They have
3 separate doctors.
3 separate ear, nose, and throat doctors told me I had. They have.
Isn't that interesting? 3 separate doctors told you had SD. So, John, you're saying that he doesn't have SD, or he had SD, but Botox resulted...
No, what Aronson would say, I spoke with him directly out of the Mayo Clinic, he would say that you had psychogenic SD. This wasn't real SD. This was a form of, it's one of these rare varieties of a neurosis of some kind that was cured with Dr. Cooper.
John, they diagnose SD, unless a psychiatrist is saying it, as neurological, because that's what they believe it is.
But that's the new paradigm, the medical paradigm that switched in the 1960s away from the psychiatric one. Now everything is neurological.
So they can do surgery.
But you see, if
because
they went back to the other
can't
paradigm,
do surgery on a psychiatric case. They can do surgery on a neurological case.
They can't do, if there's no psyche, do you think Botox is a cure for any kind of a psychiatric condition?
No.
But the interesting thing about that
is... It's a palliative.
The patients still get
4 to 10
their
times a year or more
drugs.
each and every year for life at $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. You have to ask yourself, is it the money? Is it the turf? Is it the ego? What's going on here? And they know that there are cures.
Well, what's frustrating is truth is available and it's being covered up. And as the Bible teaches, truth is what sets us free. And you have the truth that will set us, the SD patients, free. And they want to cover it up. And I can't help but refer to a religious analogy, but Jesus, in referring to those who opposed him, said, they have eyes to see and ears to hear, but they refuse to see and hear, lest they understand and be healed. If they accept your teaching, if they listen, they'll have to accept it because it's truth.
If they accept it, then they go broke.
They go broke.
The publicly traded corporations don't take. They give orders. They don't take orders.
Yes, and the love of money is the root of all evil.
You said something about St. Paul.
This is true. When Paul was accused of teaching heresy, the governor of Jerusalem said, "Much learning hath made thee mad." But you see, he's the one that had the truth.
Yeah, you said something about Mitchell F. Bryn. He's one of the finest humanitarian, compassionate, well-intentioned
Who's the most heavily
neurologist.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's the most respected researcher.
He has all his
and publications behind him in the field of
and all I have is a peer-reviewed article report in 1980 reporting cures of spasmodic dysphonia and faulting surgery for its serious consequences. I oppose the entire medical community. I have no fear of them.
Well, they actually it's a carrot and stick approach that they've taken with you, and they're willing to reward you. I spoke with a woman who is affiliated with the National Spasmodic Dysphonia Organization, a charming lady, who said that you're refusing to take
October 14, 2000.
Her name is
she
Peggy
showed up
Aiken
in my office and demanded that I not report cures.
She told me that Dr. Cooper's problem is that he's a nonconformist, and that if he will accept reformation, if he will accept to change his views, to be less disobedient, to be more in line with the rest of the profession at large, that they will feature him in the newsletter and they'll make life easier for him. And I was talking to her about a conference that was going to take place, I think it's already taken place, up in Portland, Oregon this year, that if you can go to Dr. Cooper and if you can get him to reverse this hard-headed approach that he has taken, that he has a cure for this condition, that we will consider him on the agenda of their national conference, but only if he will recant in front of a group.
No, I don't recant, because there are cures, and medicine is wrong. It's on the wrong road. My colleagues are medics. I know the best and the brightest of medics. I've associated with them. I think they're outstanding. They've made a mistake on this condition. They're wrong, wrong, wrong. John, there was another meeting in 2003 in Washington, D.C., sponsored by Allergan. And
I want to tell them about. I spoke with the head of the head and neck division, the neurology division for the National Institutes of Health. This is who you've been hearing about in the news. This is where all the research in Bethesda, Maryland. This is where it takes place. Big, huge complex. They do all the research, all kinds of medical problems. And I said to her, wouldn't it be nice to have at your conference somebody who's presenting an alternative point of view, who has a cure for this condition, has been doing this for 35 years, has presented this information. And she said to me, oh, well, I know. This is Dr. Christy Ludlow. You'll see her name in the literature. She said, oh, I know Dr. Cooper. He has nothing new to report. I said, but he's reporting cures of SD. Isn't that an important, something you would like to have presented? There's nothing new. He does not have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials. He doesn't qualify.
I spoke with Ludlow. I like her very much. She's very charming. She's very humanitarian, compassionate, and well-intentioned. I said, Christy, I don't need phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 at the Federal Drug Administration. What is it? The Food Drug and
the FDA requires this of any new treatment.
Yeah, no, medical. I said, this is not a medical problem. That's why I can report cures. So I said, you're pointless in what you're saying.
Well, I said to her, what's wrong with the before and after clinical case study? It's a perfectly legitimate thing. The patient comes in with a set of symptoms, they come out.
Not for Allergan, the maker of Botox, that sponsors a study that is the maker of Botox, and they sell it. John, you want to summarize the miracles do happen of the two patients?
Well, I think the patient...
I'd like to have them talk about it.
Well, I do. I think they've come forward. They've given testimony here, and I think it's up for people in the audience really to evaluate.
I gave up Botox because I found them to be...
You have a few seconds. Tell us in the closing moments of the program.
The medical field, they are the blind, and they want to keep us blind. And if the blind lead the blind, we're both going to end up in the ditch. And that's where I've been, and I want out, and I want to stay out.
I am just grateful I've been given tools to not only sustain the voice I've been given, but to improve it and get to the point where I am free from this monster called SD.
You're both under severe tension with Klieg lights, floodlights. I'm Mort Cooper. It's a pleasure to talk with you. The chances of a cure are there. Thank you very much for joining with me. Dr. Curtis, bye-bye.
You've dropped your voice a little bit.
I blew it.
Did you feel it dropping a little bit as you were talking? You need to bring it up again. Yeah. You see, this is what happens with people. They just, it's a slip, a very easy slip. They're talking, they revert back.
Well, it's like being in a ditch, and you're wanting out, and when you get to the top, you say, I